Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today, we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And guys, with that being said, listen, happy holidays to everybody out there celebrating. For those that are not, again, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are. Listen, we have seen this entire space basically change overnight. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be addressing it. But for the most part, Binance, or should I say Binance, right? If you guys caught that, if you got the joke, great. If you didn't, you guys are probably going to roast me. It's okay. Nonetheless, Binance basically changed everything. The actions that were taken in the last 72 hours basically changed this entire space. We're going to be talking about it. Stuart Alderati, the chief legal officer at Ripple, couldn't even stop himself from not addressing this. The Binance resolution of anti-money laundering, etc. violations is a necessary step to bring the crypto industry into compliance with these important laws and safeguards. Big banks all went through some version of this years ago. Importantly, nowhere does the DOJ suggest that Binance committed securities law violations or even suggest that the assets traded on its platform are securities. The Treasury, the CTFC, all joined the DOJ in the Binance deal. The SEC did not and was glaringly absent from the stage today. This sends a clear message that the agency under Gensler has not only become an outlier globally, but an outlier within its own government. The SEC, let me scroll down. The SEC, like a petulant child who can't stand being ignored, tweeted its misguided suit against Kraken at 3 p.m. ET today, the exact time the DOJ press conference regarding Binance was scheduled to begin. Truly secondhand embarrassment at this juvenile behavior. Remember, the SEC's fabricated term, crypto asset securities, is nowhere to be found in the DOJ case against Binance because it has no meaning under the law. The courts have been very clear that tokens themselves are not securities. Again, this solidifies the fact that, one, we are undergoing significant changes here. Listen, Binance was the accelerator. They were the key player here. And we're going to be addressing it all throughout this video. But before we dive on in, I want to let you all in on the big secret. 40% off. You cannot miss this sale from DCENT Wallet. 40% off for the next roughly 10 days. Guys, go and get a DCENT wallet. Make sure that your wealth is secure. Listen, you need to protect yourself and protect your wealth using a DCENT wallet. Right now, you could save $50 off a single wallet using my link, or you could save $128 off using my link for the 2 times package. Give your loved ones a DCENT wallet and give yourself one as well. Guys, it could not be any better of a time in this market to be saving your cryptocurrencies from scams, from phishing, from anything. Because guess what? It happens. It happens left and right. Scams are heating up. Major hacks are heating up. You need to protect your crypto at this current moment in time. Listen, there couldn't be a better time to go get yourselves a cold storage wallet. Go check it out. Links down in the description below, as well as in the comments below. Outside of this, though, Chad Steingraber, he's responding to this video from Brian Armstrong. Now, I'm going to speed this video up a half just to cut it down to 3 minutes. Hopefully, it's not too fast. If it is, you guys are more than welcome to slow it down. This got posted by Megan. Chad is actually quoting it, saying Coinbase responds to the Binance news and says new regulations on the horizon, law incoming. Check this out. Shout out to Megan. Shout out to Chad as well. I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to go to 1.5 speed. Like I said, slow it down if it is too fast.
Major news in the crypto world. The CEO of Binance, CZ, agreeing to plead guilty to federal charges and step down from the company. Binance agreeing to pay more than $4 billion to settle money laundering charges. Our Kate Rooney joins us now with Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong. Kate?
Hi, John. Thanks for that. So, Brian, thank you for being here. We really appreciate your time today. I want to start with the significance of what John just mentioned, Binance and CZ pleading guilty. What is the impact on your company, Coinbase, and the industry here?
Yeah, well, for us at Coinbase, I mean, this is really a vindication of the long-term strategy that we've taken to focus on compliance, make sure we were building a trusted company. And I have to tell you, over the last 10 years since we've been doing that, it has been frustrating at times. We've seen competitors come on the scenes and not take that approach. Sometimes they're able to offer products that we didn't think was legal. And in this environment, we're seeing that regulators are finally acting and they're creating that level playing field. So I think this is vindicating of our strategy, and I think it's good for the industry too to sort of turn the page, make sure that we're following the laws where it's clear today around AML and KYC, and then also make sure that we're getting clarity about the areas of the law where it's not yet clear in terms of commodities, securities, and there's new legislation on the horizon that I think Congress can help with there.
And Brian, so the DOJ just held this press conference. They talked about some of the awful, really, use cases for crypto. They talked about terrorist financing, transactions that facilitate child sexual abuse. How is the industry going to move on from that? Really, the dark side of crypto, some of the nefarious use cases at a time when this industry is also gaining legitimacy on Wall Street. There's a lot of hope for an ETF. How is the industry going to move on to become more legitimate, especially in light of what happened today?
Yeah, well, centralized services in cryptocurrency, just like custodians and exchanges, I mean, they need to be following the exact same rules that exist in traditional financial services to be looking out for that type of criminal behavior. And one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that if you look at the best third-party data out there, less than 1% of activity in crypto is for illicit purposes like those that you just described. By the way, the US dollar cash is about 4% used for illicit activity. So crypto is certainly not unique in that a small percentage of bad actors try to use it. That's why we at Coinbase, for instance, have really strong transaction monitoring programs, and we've invested a lot in these programs around KYC and AML. But the centralized actors need to follow those rules. I think we saw that Binance in this case was not maybe following those rules as well as they should have. But the decentralized aspects of crypto are probably going to be regulated differently. They're protocols, they're self-custodial wallets. And so the industry needs to figure out how it can apply those rules with regulatory clarity, not just in the US, but these offshore unregulated exchanges as well. And then we also need to make sure we preserve the innovation potential in the decentralized aspects of crypto to balance that.
So how do regulators prevent some of this from happening again in the future? It sounds a lot like just banking regulation, things like KYC and AML that you think of really applying to some of the more traditional financial institutions. The industry has pushed back on that and said we want different regulation. Is that possible at a time when Congress might have some different priorities, especially with an election coming up next year?
Yeah, well, I think some areas of the law are already quite clear around OFAC and KYC and AML like we saw. And I don't think the industry's been pushing that against that. In fact, quite the opposite. The companies that I engage with and in the US that are based here are all leaning into that. We've been doing that for many, many years. Now, there are areas of the law today that are still not clear in crypto, for instance, which of these assets are commodities and securities. And that's where we've seen some of this draft legislation going through Congress. In the absence of that regulatory clarity, we're also availing ourselves of the court to go get case law created that can create that clarity as well. So, look, the first and best choice would be to have regulators come together and publish clear guidance. We haven't had that happen yet, so we're unfortunately having to rely on the courts and now Congress to pass some of that. Congress does have many priorities, as you put it, but I know that, for instance, Patrick McHenry and those have made this crypto legislation a priority, and you never know exactly how and when things may become law in the United States, but we're going to keep trying that, and I feel confident that the U.S. is going to get it right eventually.
And so, Brian, Coinbase has not been immune from its own legal troubles. Can you give us any sort of update on the legal battle with the SEC? The SEC has sued Coinbase for what it says is an unregistered broker. Does any of the action today impact the way you think about your own legal battle with U.S. regulators?
Yeah, well, obviously it's important for people to remember that these two things are apples and oranges. Ours is a civil case over some technical issues about what is a commodity and security. And as I mentioned, we're availing ourselves of the court here to go create that regulatory clarity for the industry. And so almost regardless of the outcome, at least we'll finally start to have some clarity from the court. The Binance case here was a criminal matter, obviously, with much different facts and circumstances and a huge dollar amount that is quite a bit different. But look, I think the important thing for people to remember here is that 52 million Americans have used crypto now, 400 million people globally, roughly. This technology is not going anywhere. More Americans have used, like 5 times as many Americans have used this technology as have an electric vehicle, for instance. And so we have a real opportunity with this technology to update the financial system, make it faster, less expensive for people, more efficient, more fair, more global. And that's going to bring an incredible amount of positive aspects to the global economy and to people all over the world. So although it's the early days, and unfortunately that lack of clarity, we saw some bad actors, try to take advantage of the situation. This industry remains very strong, and it's just going to get better over time as we see things like layer 2 solutions adding scalability into crypto. We see ETF applications out there to launch. So I'm very optimistic on next year. Now that we've turned the page here on some of these regulatory issues, we can get back to building.
So there you guys have it. Now, again, as we really kind of look at what's going on here, Binance is the accelerator for these new regulations to hit this market, and it's already starting, right? There's also these 2 videos. There's this one, and then there's also this one by XRP Drops. Now, this one I'm not going to play. Again, this one's 6.5 minutes long, or over 6.5 minutes long. It's almost 7 minutes. But the main talking points are here. So, Wall Street Journal, Binance, what went wrong? A review absolutely worth seeing. In 2021, its monthly trade volume was greater than the next 4 biggest exchanges combined. But behind the scenes, Binance was dodging regulations. Binance was a walking time bomb. Binance launched in 2017. Within 6 months, Binance surpassed all older exchanges. Binance moved out of China to Japan. Again, regulatory problems. 2019, Binance US was launched. In 2020, the house of cards began to fall. Richard Tang, Binance's former head of global markets, will step in as CEO. And again, this is the timeline on it. But also, I've said it 100 times, right? Like, a lot of these exchanges are in on the game. And I also say this even about FTX. FTX was a ticking time bomb planted in this market by the regulators to utilize it as an example. Over here, we have Richard Tang, who is now the new CEO of Binance. Who is he? Richard Tang has definitely had a very impressive career. CZ has endorsed Tang in a tweet, calling him a highly qualified leader. Tang said that his focus is to collaborate with regulators. Now, in this video, it really just gives us a little bit of a background regarding Richard Tang, and it really just puts into perspective how he has been working with compliance and regulators like since day one in this market. But beyond that, who exactly is this individual? Well, it seems as though some community members put it together. So D. Scamron over on Twitter posted this. World Economic Forum just acquired Binance and $4 billion. Here you guys have Richard Tang, Chief Executive Officer, Financial Services Regulatory Authority, Abu Dhabi Global Market. He is a part of the World Economic Forum. He is one of the major leaders. This is all control of the market. The market is controlled by the elites. Everyone that thinks that, oh, I'm going to jump into Binance and escape the elites. Well, guess what? The World Economic Forum also owns the Lightning Network that has been pioneered, or at least the Lightning Network team is behind the World Economic Forum. They're all a part of the same group, right? But also, mind you, BlackRock also is a partner of the World Economic Forum. Like, this is why I say when we start to see BlackRock jumping in on the ETF game and we start to see big players like Binance folding and having leaders that are a part of the World Economic Forum become the new CEO, like things are crazy. And the whole market's changing here. Also, BlackRock met with the SEC and revealed more details about its spot Bitcoin ETF as well, which again is all a part of the same exact, it's all a part of the same group, which is back to the World Economic Forum. And what's crazy about this is all a part of the big game to sideline retail. Pentoshi himself over on X posted this. Here's a simple thesis, game theory. 49 days until ETF. Many sideline people. Each passing day equals more pressure to allocate as the clock ticks. Dips possible, but the window is closing. Will it be a local top? Maybe. Will it be the beginning of substantial multi-decades of TradFi allocation? Yes. And they're already jumping in. We just talked about this. The major institutions are jumping in heavy into this game. You need to pay attention to this right now. Look at this. Anderson, crazy day. To me, this seems like moves made before the big boys enter at scale. Here you guys have Binance being charged. At the same time, Tether assists the US DOJ and US Secret Service in criminal investigations and victim recovery as well. Again, Tether was the biggest ticking time bomb forever now. Well, guess what? They're working with the US DOJ and even the Secret Service. And then also, honestly, the one crypto exchange the US government and powerful Americans really hated was Binance. It was obvious after FTX collapsed and the blame put on Binance in a bizarre way. The other one is Tether. This had to happen, and I'm happy it's being resolved in a reasonable way. Again, this is all changing the entire market. Everything is coming together all at once to regulate this market fully. That way, the next steps are to have implementation and also adoption. The big boys are here. They're getting ready. The ETFs, I would argue that are going to be, if I had to make a guess, the ETFs are going to be approved probably within the next 3 months. I'll give it 3 months. And the reason why I say this is, and by the way, shout out to Colin Talks Crypto. All of this is connected. This is why I say 3 months. Does it seem fishy to anyone else that Binance is being found guilty of money laundering right before a Bitcoin ETF comes out? Is there any connection? For example, is it a way for BlackRock to acquire massive amounts of Bitcoin for cheap/free? Is it a way to remove competition from US markets right before the ETFs go live? Or is there no connection at all and I'm reading too much into this? I've learned to be very suspicious of government motives. Also, how does the US have any right to find Binance guilty of anything? Binance isn't even located in the USA. Shouldn't his own country be charging him? USA's overreach is frightening. And again, supporting speculation. Here you guys have from Travis Kling. Lots of chatter on this BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, and rightfully so. BlackRock more or less is the US government. They've already received or also received approval on 575/576 of ETF applications, meaning only one of them out of 576 applications, only one of them got denied. One thing I'll say, there is no chance, and I mean zero, that this ETF is approved with Binance in its current position of market dominance. This goes back to June, by the way. If this ETF is approved, Binance is either gone entirely or their role in price discovery is massively diminished. If Binance holds on to its current level of influence, no chance this ETF is approved. And guess what? The cards are falling. They're all falling. If you don't think that this is all by coincidence, after we start to see, again, BlackRock meeting with the SEC, revealing more details about the Bitcoin ETF, at the same time that we see Binance being targeted, and the leader now, the CEO of Binance, is a part of the World Economic Forum. Like, you cannot make this stuff up. So, this is insane. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Peace out.